Metro is a post-apocalyptic survival horror shooter about wasting bullets, being terrible at stealth, and freaking out whenever you hear that damned howl. You play as Artyom, a Russian survivor of World War III who lived most of his life underground in the Moscow metro. You fight just to live one more day, or one more level, as absolutely everything can and will kill you. If you are expecting Call of Duty, you're going to have a bad time. Everything is going to kick your ass, Dark Souls style. But unlike dank demons, this isn't about killing the boss. This is about avoiding that nearby watcher pack down the corner. It's about saving that woman that's getting raped by tunnel bandits. It's about getting that little girl her teddy bear she lost while escaping from fish Jesus cultists. Welcome, Tovarich, to Franchise Reviews, where we are going to explore the development, the lore, and the mechanics of entire franchise. Get your filters, count your bullets, and get strapped in, Malouche, cause there's red lines in front, there's Marsalis behind, and it's only gonna get a lot worse. But such is life in the metro. Made by Ukrainian studio 4A Games, Metro is based on the book series by Dmitry Glukovsky. I say based, but really it's only the first one that follows the books, and the other two remain at a respective distance as to not overlap with the novels by happening at different time periods. 4A Games was founded by ex-CGC employees who worked on Stalker, Shadow of Chernobyl, after either leaving or being fired. Metro 2033, their first game, released in 2010. It was quite buggy and the AI was terrible, but the feel of Metro, just like Stalker before it, was what sold it. Its popularity was significantly greater in Europe than in North America. In 2013, Last Light released, outselling its predecessor, only to be itself outshined by the Redux versions of both games in 2015. Metro Exodus, the latest entry, released at last in 2019, going so high as to claim 7th best-selling game of any format, despite the Epic Games exclusivity controversy. Metro's setting is in a post-nuclear world. A friendly debate in 2013 between Iran and Israel escalates to a total global conflict, each nation backing their arguments with nukes, and ending the world in a few hours. So far as people know, the Moscow metro is the only place where people survived. Radio signals are being cut off by the radiation beyond the suburbs. The surface is inhabitable, only home to roaming mutants and ghosts. Underground, people have built up their stations as independent factions, striving to survive in whatever is left of the world. Only a few years after the end, what was left of humanity went back to killing each other over scraps on a plate. In the first game, your station is threatened by a new force coming from the north. They aren't normal mutants like the mole things you usually encounter, nor are they bandits, cannibals, cultists, or some other type of fucked up. No, they are strange. They look kind of human, yet your people have come to call them the Dark Ones, or Homus Nos, which is terrible Latin. They live on the surface and have a huge hive up north that keeps expanding. Until then, they didn't really enter the tunnels underneath Moscow, but now things seem to have changed. We'll quickly notice that if you're playing with the English dub, the voice acting is beyond memeable. Everyone speaks with a very cliché Russian accent, and sometimes it simply shines by how bad it is, it becomes amazing.
Stay hidden. If we meet the beast in the open, crawl into the nearest crevice. Some people call these demons. I call them bitches.
Colonel, it's all good. She's at 1/4 power. We need a full charge. Keep it going.
Черт подери! Oh well, we won't do any better than that. Let's go, second!
I originally wanted to play with the Russian dub for the immersion, but the subtitles only work half the time and I don't speak Russian. Now there's a man from Spartan Order in town. He's called Hunter and says you're gonna have to fuck shit up. After a sequence that is beyond cliche, he leaves you with his badge and a mission: get to Polis. And tell some dude called Miller to get every last bazonga on that hive and bring them dank ones down to heck. And you do so, going through the hellhole that is the metro. You will encounter Reds, Nazis, bandits, and sometimes go on the surface. Now you may be mistaken to think that a breath of fresh air and seeing the sky will do some good. Nah, there's all kinds of fucked up there. And you will rather quickly understand why people love the metro, as every watcher and demon in a kilometer radius around you will come to introduce you to the neighborhood.
Fucking demon! Dude, you owe me one!
And I'm not even getting to the bears yet. Trust me, you do not want to meet a bear. They be ugly as heck and about 4 times your size. Now at this point you're going to see I might cover some mechanics, and that is because they are intricately linked to the lore and story of Metro, which is very good storytelling actually. For example, ammunition. Ammunition is critical. Now how much? Well, it's money. Just like Sarajevo used cigarettes as currency during the Yugoslav Civil War, the Mole Slavs have opted for a currency with no risk of inflation and with critical importance. Military grade ammunition. If you use them, they're the best ever. But they are rare and have a better use in the marketplace to get better gear than to fend off that one watcher pack. Now during 2033 you find an old army base linked to Metro 2. Now what is Metro 2? It's the very real secret Soviet metro that is underneath the normal metro in Moscow. We actually have no real maps of the place because it's still highly secret as the Russian government still uses it. We only have a few CIA ideas on the thing. But back to our story. The D6, the army base, is a highly prepared bunker you acquired with the Spartan Rangers Order. Spartan Rangers Order are the protectors against the surface bullshit, but most people associate them with the Polis station and don't really trust them for political reasons. So Red Line, Venice, the Fourth Reich, and all those swell guys all want to get the D6 for themselves, because God forbid it is used to stop the surface shit from getting underground.
Is their work. See how they just rested? Easy, easy. We're not here to harm you.
A few moments later. In Last Light, Miller sends you to go find the last Dark One, a small kid, who could be all it takes to destroy a few stations. You get paired with Anna.
Quit looking at my ass. It's way out of your reach, rabbit.
Who totally ditches you, so you get caught by the Reich and sent to, a happy vacation camp where nothing happened. Yes, yes?
Fun fact, we can choose to liberate the prisoners from this prison, but by accident during our playthrough I've pressed the wrong button. So instead of liberating the entire camp, I've took the lift. But on the bright side I did it on my first try, and the guards didn't release any gas. So on the bright side they're still alive, I guess, I would say.
In true Soviet fashion, calls the KGB on you once it's safe, because, you know, you're part of the order, who owns the D6 everyone wants. You get the heck out, and have to go through what I consider to be the most catastrophic stealth missions, where I had to reload so many times just because of that one dude at his desk always moving at the right instant. You head back to Polis, but on the way you discover that COVID-33 was actually made apart by Red Line in order to exterminate all the other colors, under the orders of not the guy who looks like Himmler, but the other dude, the creepy one. You save the Dark One, and then die in a goddamn cutscene at least 3 times before the game actually lets you live long enough to get the gas mask on the right. Then you go through an incredibly well-made outside sequence that honestly is the best I've ever had in Metro. The goddamn Kremlin, it's all being in ruins, haunted by ghosts, filled with creatures, the bridge in ruins, it's also beautiful. You get back to Polis and denounce Redline and their bioweapon policy, and then head to the D6 to fight in a war for the bunker against the Soviets. They bring in tanks that can only get shot down if you shoot the wheels off first, then the cannon. Don't thank me, I've suffered a well before understanding that. As you move on to Exodus, now in 2035, Artyom believes there's still somewhere outside of Moscow where life could have survived. Human life, that is. Turns out there's a big conspiracy by the Hansa station to prevent any communication beyond Moscow, and the whole world has survivors all over. So you steal a train in a big nuts, big brain move and get quasi-banished from the metro with the gang. No other choice than to go on to Exodus. You visit multiple different regions that are all interesting: the Volga, Yamantau, Caspian Sea, Taiga, and Novosibirsk. But I prefer to call them with my own personal names. There are Fish Jesus, Dead Cat, Mad Max, The Forest, and the Metro I goddamn wanted. They are all very different, with unique people, and each inscribed a very particular feel within you. The diversity of environments and danger was rather pleasing and showed a real sense of creativity. Even if I do lament the lack of undergroundness in Exodus, I cannot deny the work that has gone into it and how amazing it is. Now that you know what you're up against, it's time for mechanics. To get through all of this, you're going to need weapons, ammunition, a gas mask, and as many filters as you can possibly cram onto yourself. No, really, they run out very fast. You can carry with you a set of 3 different weapons. They can be of many types and fully modded at your local retailer, or you can just steal a better one from an enemy's corpse. Those weapons are of many types, sizes, and ammo types. My personal favorite is the Kalash, a very versatile and useful weapon. I always couple it with a silence pistol for stealth and a big fuck you shotgun for creatures. Except for librarians.
Take this! I can just leave. You're not even... Yeah, I'm shooting at you now!
Just run. There's a type of ammo per weapon type, with revolver ammo, rifle ammo, buckshot, steel balls, sniper, and crossbow. They're all pretty rare to find, and you'll get most of it by borrowing from friends who won't really need it later anyways. It will always be rather lacking in ammo, especially towards the last chapters of every game. I finished 2033 with just 2 bullets on me. Ammo is your lifeline, and you will need it to survive or die. But if you lack ammo, you can still use V for melee. Your gas mask is how you survive high radiation and the surface. The filter prevents you from inhaling the extremely toxic radioactive particles in the air. Now, the exact model used by Artyom in the game is an MF27 industrial gas mask used in nuclear reactors across the world. For the fun of it, I tried to look up where you could actually acquire one, and so far the only ones who responded were the Shandong China Coal Import and Export Company, who for some reason sell railway tunneling equipment. Either way, there are only 2 ways to get the filters. You either buy them at some rare merchant, or you get them from the wild, except in Exodus. Each filter lasts barely enough time and will keep you on your toes when outside. At last, you have medkits. They will heal you in a pickle, or rather help you in other ways. Medkits are basically morphine in an orange box, because in Metro you don't heal at all, you simply ignore the pain and keep on running. The first thing you're going to notice about levels is that you can either go full stealthily or full-on Django on every confrontational level, but the game clearly encourages the stealth route, for reasons such as more points, which we're going to cover, and ammunition. Also, stealth kills are one shot, even if you don't necessarily hit the head, except for the Reich who wear helmets and armor. Stealth in the first 2 Metro games is poor. It's dictated by direct and very tunnel-like line of sight, and whether you sprint like a moron or crouch, and well, light, mostly light. Light can make you invisible for good. I stepped right in front of someone and he didn't see me because he had neither a flashlight nor anything, and I was in the shadow. Not that I did mind, given how powerful enemies can be when they see you, especially on that one battlefield levels, but Exodus does stealth very well. And it's scary. You missed your headshot? Too bad! Now all of China knows you're here, and they know exactly where to shoot. Your laser pointers are dead giveaways, and every step might alert the enemy. Enemies patrol much more in Exodus, using less pre-programmed paths and dynamically changing where to investigate according to what lamp you just turned off or who isn't answering. If in alert, they don't just stand in bad cover like in all the titles, they will try to guess your position and take cover accordingly. If in alert, they don't just stand around in bad cover like in all the titles, they will guess your position and take cover accordingly, or even hunt you, looking at evidence, listening for footsteps. And if they find you, well, stealth is over and it's time for the clash. Now there's one last mechanic to cover before you head out into the first games, and it's more points. They're basically the secret judge of your character in Metro. You would think, great, I'm just gonna be nice and everything is fine, but not exactly. See, you have to actively look for those points in order to get the good ending. These might range from normal things like helping someone out, saving a woman from rapists, spending half an hour looking for a teddy bear, to things like finding 5 skeletons in a level while being chased by mutant dogs who keep coming back for a tasty flesh and completing the whole damn thing in less time than it takes to say, oh no, not again. To be frank, you will need to arm yourself with a walkthrough for this. There's no way in hell you can complete the good ending on your first run by accident, except if you're really good or you're playing Exodus. But what about Exodus' new stuff? Well, Exodus has 2 big things: dynamic gun building and a semi-open world. The dynamic guns are amazing, just like the scavenging mechanics that come with it, to replace trade. Scavenging feels like scavenging, and weapons are completely customizable in a way that isn't like a Fallout 4 style buff versus debuff, but each part offering a different mechanic or playstyle. Whether you choose to have a standard barrel or a smaller cartridge, the whole dynamic of gunfights will change accordingly. The semi-open world gave me doubts, but it's done rather well, as could be expected from the team that did Stalker. Missions are quite linear within that world frame, and you can wander off without losing sight of your objective. With all those mechanics, it looks like Metro is just a survival shooter, but the horror tag isn't on Steam for nothing. Metro is scary, but not in the jump scare, oh my god, a monster sense, even though there are few moments using that trope. No, Metro is about paranoia. It's about instilling an actual chronic fear into you and unease about certain places. The first time you enter the tunnel in 2033 is to go to Riga, and this is where you experience fear for the first time. It's not a big scare, just the game instilling the tone for what to expect. The tunnels are dangerous. Traveling is taking a risk between the Norsalis and the bandits. But then you meet Bourbon, and you discover that the surface is way worse. Dead City is the first experience you will have of the surface, and it's really good. You will find an empty Moscow. There is nothing apart from Watchers, demons, and the ruins of the old world and a few frozen corpses. The silence you experience only intensifies your stress when it's suddenly broken by a Watcher's howl. There are few creatures in the game, and it's ideal. You will easily remember each and every one of them. You remember their sounds, you remember how they react, you remember how terrifying they can be, and how to survive. To me, the Watchers are the best example with a howl. You know they are calling their pack. And worse, you doubt if it's just them passing by or if they saw you. The filters beeping as they always run out, the constant stress from hearing something eating in the supermarket you have to walk through, hoping not to find it in the next corners, seeing demons around the area looking for food, all of this contributes to the ambience of danger that the surface brings, making you long for the tunnels underneath. Metro turns the cliche of outside safe, inside dark and scary, upside down. You aren't afraid of interiors or darkness anymore. You're afraid about the wide open exterior. Tunnels and small enclosed spaces will make you feel relief, security, and that's the talent of Metro, turning what is almost an instinct on its head. Metro employs colors and lighting in a very artistic manner. Stations and inhabited locations will always look warm, with orange colors coming from the flames of campfires. The tunnels are often dark or illuminated by bluish neons. The outside is a washed up blue-white in the day, so pure and so dead you feel the cold on your arms as you play. It's classic cinema trick of orange-teal color coding, but Metro uses it perfectly. The soundscape of Metro breeds anxiety, with all sounds emerging from all directions within a general silence.
What do we do next? Ладно. There's a passage down there. It's our only option. Let's move quietly. What was that? We will find out.
Silence is key to Metro. Silence punctuated by those rare, stress-inducing sounds. You will feel like you're always in danger outside of the stations. Now, Exodus mixes up the formula a bit, with its very exterior gameplay, with the core idea of playing with sounds, environments, and light hasn't been forgotten. From the Volga, where the fog and the high grass hide creatures and the river isn't much safer, to the underground facility at the Caspian Sea, Exodus has kept its core. Even if, much to my chagrin, it has lost most of the reversal of the outside scary inside safe that the first two Metro games have. And when it comes to character and dialogues, Metro doesn't slack. The story is kind of cheesy, and the main dialogues do reflect that, but outside of the railroad, the world feels alive. People are all doing things, talking about stuff that doesn't really matter, small stuff, worries, joy, hope, grief.
Hey, Simon, you're good with engines, aren't you?
Yeah, what's up?
Don't know. It was all right yesterday, now it's all coughing and spitting smoke.
Ignition, perhaps?
Well, let's take a look.
When did you overhaul it the last time?
Seems like 100 years ago.
Well, you might have an inch of soot in there. Did you check the air filter?
You got me a new one last week. What could have gone wrong with it?
Yeah, probably nothing.
I would say it takes a lot from classic Russian literature. It's a sort of really human perspective, very close to people, and an examination of psyche. It feels depressing, but in a cathartic manner. Metro embodies a particular vision of tension, horror in its gameplay, story, and ambience that can only praise for its effectiveness. I give this franchise my fear of librarians over the number of times you see dead again. With the next Metro in development, I can say I'm pretty optimistic about it. Mechanically, we're getting closer to something really unique with Exodus, and 4A hasn't lost hand in terms of ambience and feel. In fact, it feels as they've gotten better at their craft. But it is important to note that Exodus didn't click as much with some of the audience who missed the tunnels and the feeling they gave. I also missed the tunnels and the reversing of instinct granted. With the new Metro on the way, if 4A follows the desire of a part of the fanbase to bring back at least a little of the underground while keeping all the upgrades and gameplay, we might get one of the most amazing survival shooters out there. We highly recommend you play all the Metros, but do play the first two on Redux, as it adds the best out of Last Light's improvement, as well as fixing a lot of issues both games had in their original form. Stealth will be less broken as a result, and being outside will be a more enjoyable experience instead of suffering. If you've liked our franchise review on Metro, we highly recommend you to watch our first franchise review on XCOM. Comment, like, and subscribe if you want to see more of the content. It not only helps us know what you want, it also helps the algorithm. Thanks, and have a nice day.